you have your Bibles, why don't you go ahead and grab them? We're going to be in Mark chapter 7. That's where we're going to start. And then if you're an overachiever, you can flip over to Romans 5 and save that spot too, because we'll eventually get there. So Mark chapter 7, I'm going to pick it up in verse 14. And he called the people to him again and said to them, "Hear me, all of you, and understand. There is nothing outside a person that by going into him can defile him, but the things that come out of a person are what defile him." And when he had entered the house and left the people, his disciples asked him about the parable. And he said to them, "Then are you also without understanding? Do you not see that whatever goes into a person from outside cannot defile him, since it enters not his heart, but his stomach, and is expelled?" This next little, if you're reading a red letter version, these next black letters are, I'm thankful for them. "Thus he declared all foods clean." Let's praise God for some bacon. "And he said, what comes out of a person is what defiles him. For from within, out of the heart of the man, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, sensuality, envy, slander, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within, and they defile the person." So what you have happening in this text is people, you've already got some common grace present in the people who are listening to Jesus teach, because they are aware that they are unclean. So I want to continually try to lay this before you. If you feel that, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you feel that you have fallen short of the glory of God, if you know that you are in need of some help, if you have some depression, if you're struggling with addiction, if you have some loneliness or some despair, that might just be the high surgeon of heaven beginning to do a type of surgery that will ultimately set you free. Oh God, that we'd be a culture that understands there's promise in the pain. Pain for us is something that has to be solved. We see no real value in it. And anybody who's ever tried to train their body knows there's an aspect of pain involved. To getting stronger, to growing more healthy, things have to be torn down in order to be built up. The same is true about how God shapes his people. And so he's talking to people who understand they're unclean. Some of you don't understand that you're unclean. And some of you have such a hypersensitivity to it that me even mentioning the word unclean has you wishing you weren't here. But we'll deal with that more in a few minutes. We'll deal with that more here in a few minutes, brothers, sisters. And so in this text, when people realize they're unclean, they tend to go one of two ways with it. And here's the first way. The first way is religion. So I feel unclean, so let me do number 4. All right, and number 4 is nothing but number 1 with a choir robe on, right? It's us fixing ourselves under the banner of God's name, while at no point really leaning into God for our help and salvation. It's I'm going to fix me so I can make God not destroy me. All right, that's number 4, number 1 combined. All right, it's toxic. And so we go into religion. So the people that Jesus is teaching right now, they have dietary laws and cleanliness laws. There are certain foods they cannot eat, and there are certain ways they must wash before they eat. All right, there are cleanliness laws and dietary laws. And so they literally believed that you could eat something or not wash a particular way before you ate something or went into the temple synagogue, that would then make you unclean, so that something outside of you could somehow make your soul dirty. And Jesus is going, no. Don't you see? Don't you see that that's not how it works? That whatever goes inside of you, you process and get rid of. How about that science right in the text? No. What's unclean is already inside of you. So you got to hear this, because I think people get this backwards. That activity that you participate in that you feel ashamed of, that's not what's made you unclean. You were unclean, so you did that activity. You tracking with me? You don't do sinful acts to make yourself a sinner. You are a sinner, so you do sinful acts. That's huge. And here's why moral tinkering is never going to work. Here's why I'm gonna make myself a better person is never going to work, because what we just read in this text is really the heart of the problem is the problem of the heart. You're the problem. Your heart is the problem. It's not outside of you, it's in you, which is why you can't solve it. And so what we do in evangelicalism is we fixate on this issue. I've got a lust problem. I've got an anger problem. I've got a laziness problem. I need this fixed, but we're not watching the rear flank. And so while we're trying to put out this fire starts up. And that's why we never get real traction in regards to growing, because ultimately our heart's not being transformed. We're trying to modify behavior. Behavioral modification isn't going to work, because whatever reigns and rules in your heart will overflow out of your heart into your actions and attitudes. Always. And so ultimately, if you don't get to the bottom of really this lack of forgiveness, this anger, you don't get down into those roots, then it's just gonna spring back up. And so they're gonna get stuck in this crazy cycle of falling back into old patterns, or it's just there's going to be new spots that flare up because all they did was mow over the weeds. And so religion is the way a lot of people go, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work, because whatever reigns and rules in your heart will overflow into actions and attitudes. And so some people, religion's not going to be their back. So when they feel unclean, all right, when they feel unclean, unsatisfied, they're not going religion, they're going blame. They're going blame. Their kind of fundamental lens by which they see life is that I am not responsible for my attitudes and actions. I'm not, because other people are ultimately responsible for my joy. Other people in the circumstances of my life are not controlled by me. They're controlled by others. Therefore, I am never responsible for how I behave, how I act out, and the attitudes by which I act out. All right, now, Jesus is just deconstructing that thought like a champ here, like he's deity or something. He literally in this text is going to outline things that nobody can make you do but you. All right, so let's look at it. It's going to be awful. And by awful, I mean awesome. For from within, out of the man's heart, this is verse 21, come evil thoughts. So let's just stop. We can't do this with all of them, but evil thoughts. No one can make you think evil thoughts. No one. Now, I know you might be going, that's not true. You don't know my cousin. See, if you knew my cousin, you knew my friend Dave, you wouldn't be saying that. Because Dave, that brother makes me think evil thoughts. No, there's all sorts of ways you can, listen, I want to lay this down. We're in a fallen world. People can betray you. People can hurt you. Would anyone in this room that's not a year old not raise their hand and go, man, I've been betrayed. I've been hurt. All right. People have done things to me that bother me. So let's lay that down. Absolutely true. Some of you, that abuse has been serious. That neglect has been serious. That betrayal has been gut-wrenching. Look at me. But no one controls what you think but you. No one. No one controls what you think but you. And you can arrest thoughts. You can arrest thoughts. You can go, no, that's not true. That's not right. I'm not dwelling on that. You decide what you dwell on. You decide the fantasies in your mind. You decide wishing something bad would happen to that person. You decide whether or not you're going to pray for them and forgive them, or whether or not you're not going to let go because that hate keeps you warm. You decide. That's on you. No one can make you think evil thoughts. You choose to. Now, we don't like this. We like to play the blame game. I think the clearest place you see this is oftentimes, I've heard people say this, I'm not a liar, I just lie every once in a while. So you're a liar that doesn't lie. Is that, I'm just rewording it and giving it back to you so you can help me, because I'm so confused right now, right? No one would call themselves a liar. No one in here would say, yeah, I'm a liar, but we lie. Right? This is this bucket. This is this game. It's madness. No one causes evil thoughts in your mind but you. You let them go. You run with them. God help you. Some of us, we enjoy them. We enjoy evil thoughts. Sexual immorality. Nobody can make you walk in sexual immorality but you. No one can make you. You choose to enter in. You choose to log on. You choose to stare over at that woman, at that man. You choose that fantasy in your head. You choose it. No one makes you walk in sexual immorality. You do. You do. It's your heart that's the issue. Well, if my spouse would just, if I could just, no. You. It's on you. You gladly walk into it yourself. You gladly walk into it yourself. Do you feel shame on the back end? Probably. Does that stop you from walking right back in again? Usually not. I won't do any more, but you get kind of the rhythm here. Envy, slander, that's you. People can't make you do that. And so whether religion or blame, what we do when we feel unclean is, 1 and 4 and 2 and 3. All right, I'm gonna run to myself, I'm gonna run to others, I'm gonna run to the world, I'm gonna run to religion because I feel unclean, so let me fix that. But Jesus clearly says here that you can't, at best, you'll just smear the mess. At best, you'll just smear the mess.